Okay, this is the Bring Them Home site in English. They have it in Hebrew as well. So they have a ticker right on top. We demand the safe return of all citizens who have been taken hostage by the terrorist group Hamas. We will not rest until every hostage is released, returns home safely. You can help bring them back home. Oh, really? Can you? If I just say bring them home now, that'll really help bring them home? How exactly? They don't tell you. But here you go. Pictures, names of various hostages. Now, there's big letters. You can help us increase diplomatic efforts and international support to help save all hostages taken by Hamas. Let's show the world that human life matters. Yeah, that'll do it. Help us bring our people home. Now, there you go. Now look at this little note on the bottom. I don't care about the big letters. I care about the little letters. We formed the Hostage and Missing Families Forum less than 24 hours after the horrific attack by Hamas on Israel on October 7th, in which thousands of innocent civilians were murdered and taken hostage by Hamas. The forum is volunteer-based and laser-focused on bringing the hostages back home to their families, to us. The forum offers families holistic support and professional assistance and advances the ongoing efforts through all channels, locally, regionally, globally, to bring the hostages and the missing back home to their loved ones. They're a registered nonprofit. I looked up the nonprofit. I'll get to that momentarily. Now, they formed this. Another page says it was formed by the families themselves. The families of the hostages formed this less than 24 hours after the attack, meaning the attack happened on October 7th. Less than 24 hours. You really believe that the families of the hostages, okay, who couldn't be more traumatized, their houses are destroyed, their cities are destroyed, their loved ones are taken captive, killed, God knows what. They themselves may have been injured. And they managed within 24 hours, they said, let's start a forum to tell everybody, bring them home. You really believe this? You really believe that cover story? Can anybody be so stupid to believe that within 24 hours, these people did that? You and I couldn't do this in 24 hours. You couldn't do it in 24 days. Maybe you could if you're really, really good at it. But you're telling me the families of the victims in less than 24 hours got this on the way? That's just as likely as all those masks and vaccines and testing kits just happened to be ready as soon as COVID-19 ravaged the world. They just happened to have millions and millions and millions of PCR tests and masks ready to go just when COVID-19 happened. Okay? That's like this, being ready less than 24 hours by the families themselves. Clearly, this is nonsense. You can't find the name of a single person who actually runs this website. Who funded this? Who started it? This is a very slick website. Where's it all coming from? So let's go to the questions and answers. Do they tell you anything about themselves? No. They tell you about how, hostages, war crimes, things like that. You can scan it for yourself. Not that interesting, really. And then a big donate button at the end. Okay? They don't tell you anything. Events page. This is the Hebrew one. They have multiple events every single day. Okay? Today, January 4th, they have 2 events. Tomorrow, Friday, they have 5 events. Okay? Sunday, you got 2 events. Every day, they have multiple events all over the country. How are they organizing this so quickly? Who's paying for all this? Who's behind this? No idea. They don't tell you. Oh, look at this, merchandise. You can help by buying their merchandise. How did they get all this merchandise ready so quick? We have ski caps. We have a certificate that you can get for donating money. We have these red idolatry strings that people wear, bands that they wear, dog tags, T-shirts, sweatshirts, coffee cups, bracelets, flags, caps, umbrellas, pins. How did they get all this merchandise ready so quickly? If you wanted to start a business, you couldn't get it done so quickly with all this custom-made merchandise. How'd they get this done? Who's doing this exactly? No idea. Don't ask questions. We're fighting a war. Okay? I said earlier that the Bring Them Home Now campaign is almost entirely inescapable. But you know who escapes it? The black hat neighborhoods in Israel. Interesting how they seem to run out of posters exactly where you have the people who tend not to be part of the IDF. You know why? Well, here's my theory. Because since most of them are not in the army, they don't need to be propagandized to support their loved ones continuing to be in the army in a hellhole for no clear reason. The whole excuse for these soldiers, hundreds of thousands of Jews being in a hellhole, in a booby-trapped death trap, for no clear reason, is bring them home now. The hostages are there. As long as there are any hostages there, that's an excuse. That's a reason to have our soldiers imperiling their lives. So we have to justify it. We need to bring them home now. That's where the propaganda is concentrated. Meanwhile, again, the soldiers aren't freeing any of these hostages. We don't know where the hostages are even. We don't know if they're dead or alive. So until when are they going to be there? Who knows? Maybe forever. Maybe until the IDF is decimated. Maybe that's the goal. And here's another question that we're not allowed to ask. If they care so much about the hostages, why didn't they do more to prevent them from being taken in the first place? All the 8 hours and more that this attack was being live streamed on the internet, and people were frantically calling their friends in the army and the police, come and save us, and there were crickets chirping, why didn't they do more to prevent the hostages from being taken in the first place? If in less than 24 hours, they were able to start this bring them home or organization, this whole propaganda campaign, in real time, Hamas was still in Israel. The cities were still under siege during that time. So the hostages could have been stopped from being taken at that point. But again, don't ask questions. Whether this was incompetence, a military failure, or something else, how can you continue to take orders from these people? If you're a soldier, if you're a relative, a loved one of a soldier, there's hardly any family in Israel that doesn't have some relative in the army. I myself have 2 relatives in the army. How can you continue to be confident taking orders from people if either they were incredibly incompetent, they have the best of intentions, but they're woefully incompetent, or something else? Why are they continuing to give us instructions? Why are there no heads rolling? Why is it more dangerous for people like me to speak out and ask questions? I have to measure my words very, very carefully because I could get in trouble for asking these types of questions or making an accusation that maybe it's a little too close to home. Why am I a greater threat to the state and to the Jewish people than the people who allowed this attack to happen and are still giving the orders? Why are they not being prosecuted? Why are they facing the heat? Why is it the people who ask questions that are considered to be the threats? What are the soldiers really dying for? Don't get your emotions, taken hostage, because we're the real hostages. Our minds are the real hostages. We have to bring our soldiers home. We have to bring our people home. We have to populate our cities and get real Jewish leaders. That's how we win the war, not by bombing useless targets in Gaza and maiming our best and finest fighters. That's not what we should be doing. I'm all for vanquishing the enemy. I'm not a pacifist by any means, but we have to understand the right time and the right way to fight the war, and that's not what's happening now. And it's not about bringing the hostages now home either. They don't care about the hostages. The hostages are simply pawns to prey on us and get us to sacrifice our rights and our homes and our economy and most of all, our friends and loved ones.